I can't believe that you're in your 50s, and I want to hear about all the things that you're doing.
I was always one of those guys that just worked and worked and worked and lifted and ran and did all the box, and my joints had started to feel it pretty early on. So I wanted to find out what I could do to sort of prevent myself from being a frail old man at the age of 45 years old.
So at what point then did you decide to co-found Gatlan?
The beautiful part about TRT and some of these other things that we offer are that it gets you back in the mindset that you want to go do these things again. Once you start feeling better, you want to work out, you want to eat better, you're living a cleaner, more full life.
Every successful person, unless they have like dark triad personality traits, feels imposter syndrome.
I had imposter syndrome until I directed my first movie. That was the time I was like, okay, you know what? You do belong here because you now have the ability to make something. You did it. And I think that was what kind of put me over. I earned my spot at the table.
How do you balance the stress that comes with being in the public eye and the impact that stress can have on your health?
That's a good example too, because I don't care. I really don't. Even with this company, they said not to do it. I said, watch me. And I'm doing it for the right reason. And if somebody's gonna fault me for that, so be it. If you don't really truly believe what you're telling people, they see right through that. People are not stupid.
Yeah. Josh Duhamel, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me.
It's great to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too, Max.
Same. I can't believe that you're in your 50s.
I'm well into my 50s now.
Wild.
And I'm also in full hair and makeup today, just so you know.
Full hair and makeup straight off the plane? No, definitely not. You look incredible. And I want to hear about all the things that you're doing, because I feel like you've probably got some inside tea into like the anti-aging longevity space, being a very successful working actor in Hollywood. Like, I want to learn the tricks of the trade.
Well, I don't know if I have any inside tea, but I have, like you, a real fascination with it. I think that when I got into my mid-30s, I started thinking or researching more about, what's out there, what can I do to, stay as healthy and virile and active as I can, mostly for professional reasons, because I wanted to stay in the business for as long as I could, and there are certain expectations. But as I've gotten older, I think it's still some of that, but it's more, now that I've got kids, I've got a 12-year-old and almost 2-year-old. He's 1 year, 11 months today, and we have a little girl on the way.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm not a young father, so I want to be as young and active and energetic as I can for as long as I can. And then, recently it just dawned on me too that, my parents are getting older. My mom is going to live to be 130, but my dad is he's starting to feel it, and you can see it. And I think that one of my biggest sort of motivations behind this company right now is to help him as well. I think that we're on such a forefront right now with longevity and the research behind it and all the medications and hormones and peptides and things that you can take to sort of extend your health span. If I can just get him to hang on for a little bit longer, I feel like there's things that we're going to be able to do to keep, even if I can keep him around for an extra 5 years, 10 years, that's really, because he loves his grandkids. He lives for his grandkids, and I want him to be able to see mine grow up,
Yeah, it's beautiful. You personally, you said in your 30s is when you became kind of aware of...
I think so. I started taking, Rogaine and things like that early on because I didn't want to go bald like my old man.
That's some work.
So pure vanity was really what I think got me into it in the beginning. It was just wanting to stay as healthy as I could. But like I said, your priorities change as you get older, and I think that's kind of where I'm at now.
Had you had a wellness routine at that point?
Well, I played sports my whole life. My mother was very much about health and eating well, even before it was a thing. I remember as a kid back in Minot, North Dakota, she would order an egg white omelet. And me and my sister were so embarrassed that she would make them take the yolks out of the eggs. This is back in the early 80s. And, and she was always very conscious of what she fed us and how we ate. And I think that was kind of the beginning of it for me in a lot of ways. So yes, I guess I've always had a curiosity about it, but it hasn't been until the last few years that I've really sort of dove in and tried to learn as much as I can. I'm no expert by any means. I'm just a guy who's trying to, learn what I can and pass it on, really, because there's a lot of things that one of the main things is guys don't want to talk about this stuff either, especially the TRT, like just like low levels of testosterone and aging and low energy and these types of things. Guys don't want to talk about it. And I think that that's one of the main reasons for this as well, is just to open up the conversation, shine a little light on it, and make it like a thing that's okay to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we're all about destigmatizing the use of hormone replacement therapies on the show. I mean, we've talked a lot about recently, HRT for women.
Yeah.
But I've said, like, I have very few peers that aren't at this point on some form of testosterone replacement therapy. What did you notice in your life, or was it like labs even that compelled you to look into it?
I forget what it was, what the initial sort of test that I got, but I remember it was more because I was having a hard time and I was injury prone too. I haven't played sports my whole life. It was like I never made any major injuries playing the sports, but I was always one of those guys that just worked and lifted and ran and did all the box, and my joints had started to feel it pretty early on. So I wanted to, find out what I could do to sort of prevent myself from being, a frail old man at the age of 45 years old. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And, it's not just the peptides and the hormones and all the stuff that you can take now, but it was also a bit of a life change and, eating better. Yoga has been huge for me. I started doing that about 10 years ago. That hot yoga is like literally fixed my back and my knees.
Dope.
So that, like, I'm always just trying something new, like the cold plunges. I love doing that. I'm a bit of a nut when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Biohacker?
I try to be.
I love it.
But, I don't want to, I want to grow old, but if I'm going to be old, I want to be able to still do shit. I don't want to be a guy who lives to be 103 and miserable when I'm, starting at the age of 80.
Amen.
I want it to be like a healthy sort of longevity.
How do you stay on track with your routine given the demands of your job, which I would imagine are pretty intensive?
I go in phases, honestly. I try to stay within. I like pizza and I like burgers and I like ice cream and chocolate. And I'm not afraid to eat that stuff. But there's sometimes when you gotta be real clean, and there's sometimes you can let loose a little bit. But I never let myself go too far so that I can't get back into shape if I need to. So that's. I guess does that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you have an overarching dietary philosophy at this point? Are you do you take a protein forward approach? I'm just curious. Is it protein? Do you prioritize protein? A lot of people now are talking about protein. I mean, you walk through the aisles of a supermarket. It's like
I went to Starbucks.
A protein amusement park.
They have protein coffee now.
Is that what that is?
No. I didn't get that, but they have it. It's available. So you're right. It's like. I thought that was something that had, come and gone. I mean, it's like we're talking like protein's a new thing. It's like, but maybe, I don't know, what am I missing there?
No, I mean, protein's pretty important. It's right there in the name. It's like protein is the first, the name derives from, I think in Greek, it's like of first importance, of primary importance.
Yeah.
It's pretty important.
Well, I mean, of course, I eat protein. I'm much more conscious of the vegetables that I eat and trying to keep it as clean as I can. It's not a real program, I guess.
Like, what's in your fridge right now? Like, if I were to take a peek into Josh Duhamel's fridge.
Well, I get meals delivered. Otherwise, I'll just eat frozen pizzas and Whoppers from Burger King. That's it.
You're pretty shredded, though.
Not really, man. I mean, I don't know. I try. But it's an ever ongoing struggle. But it just kind of depends on what. If you ask my wife, she thinks I'm obsessed with this stuff, and I think for me, it's like it's about exercise and it's about just eating right. We're also doing these fasts. Have you done any of those 72-hour fasts?
I've not. No. Tell me about them.
You should do it with us. We're going to do it again. With
I'm down.
Dr. Robert Lufkin, one of our medical advisors for Gatlan. Amazing dude, one of the foremost longevity guys out there. And so what we've done it we're about to do our third one where I'll blast it out. And last time we had like 500 people join us from all over the world.
Whoa.
And every day we'll get on the phone we'll get on like a big Zoom call and people will ask questions and he'll sort of explain what your body is going through at that particular time, whether it's the ketosis or the autophagy or whatever, and what your body's actually doing and sort of shedding those zombie cells. And it's fascinating. It also helps you get through it a lot easier when you're doing it with a bunch of other people. It sort of keeps you accountable.
Yeah, accountability, that's a big lever for like sustainability, which is, you know, there are myriad diets that might work in the short term, but it's like, what are you gonna be able to stick to?
Right. Yeah, and you know, I have some friends who they're always on this crazy diet, just trying to. The last thing I want to do is be a slave to my body. I want to be able to enjoy life, eat, you know, drink occasionally, but also keep it within the guardrails. Because if I don't, I'm one of those people that'll just go completely off the grid.
What's like your vice? The pizza?
Pizza's I really do love pizza. Ice cream's a big thing. Chocolate. My mom is an amazing cook.
What percent of cacao are we talking?
Of chocolate?
Yeah, because chocolate's actually pretty healthy.
I mean, it's usually like if I'm gonna have chocolate, it's gonna be like a Snickers bar.
Got it.
Yeah, it's not like something I get at Whole Foods. I'm gonna go all in.
People have this misconception. They think chocolate's just like candy, but I mean, it's like a spectrum.
Yeah.
But there are definitely like healthy, it's good for your brain, good for your cardiovascular system. If you get like a high cacao.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Those flavonols, there's like compounds in
Okay.
cacao that are supposed to be.
And so what percentage would you suggest?
I think the higher the higher the percentage of cacao, the less room there is in the recipe for sugar.
Okay.
So you're just like guaranteeing, I think, a higher concentration of these cacao flavonols, which, you know, have there's a lot of research on their impact on cardiovascular health, on brain health. You do want to make sure that your chocolate, if you're eating chocolate for the health benefits, you want to make sure that your chocolate hasn't been processed with alkali.
Okay.
Which is like a thing. You gotta actually like look on the ingredients list. It's a thing. Like a lot of chocolate is like processed with alkali. It's also referred to, I think, sometimes as Dutch processing.
Okay.
And that depletes very nerdy stuff.
It's good to know, though.
Yeah.
Can I put peanut butter on it?
Yeah, why not? Peanut butter's
all right.
Yeah.
A little peanut butter, a little chocolate. That's one of my go-tos.
That sounds
delicious.
That's one of the best flavors. One of the best combinations. Yeah. So at what point then did you decide to co-found Gatlan? That's a super exciting move.
Yeah. So my buddy Fabian Calvo came to me a couple years prior to me even deciding to do it, because at first he came to me and he said, "Hey, how do you feel about being the face of this TRT company?" That they had already done a lot of the legwork for it. And I was like, "No way, man! I don't want people to know my secret." You know, I've been doing it for like 5 years, and I was one of those guys who didn't want to talk about it. I had some shame around it. And the more I thought about it, and he kept coming back to me. He said he had a chance to look at that, and I said, "Yeah." And I went to my agent, my manager, and like, "Yeah, I don't know if you want to put your name and likeness behind something like that." And then I was like, "You know what? Why not? Why not? Because it's not like I'm out there, you know, trying to sell, you know, tequila or marijuana. This is actually something I think, and nothing wrong with either one of those things. But for me, it was like this is actually something that's good, but there's a stigma attached to it that makes people think it's bad or shameful." And I said, if I have any opportunity in this, or if there's any obstacles, it's that, which I also looked at as an opportunity, because if we can get guys talking about this, if we can shed that stigma, if we can, you know, make it okay, because it really has changed my world. It really has. I mean, obviously I've changed a lot of my health, and I don't ever, you know, tell people that you take this, everything's going to be okay. No, you got to put the work in too. But the beautiful part about TRT and some of these other things that we offer are that it gets you back in the mindset that you want to go do these things again. And I think that's part of what happens with guys when they get older, is they just kind of lose that desire to go work out, look good, you know, whatever it is that is sort of, and they don't realize that what's probably happening is their testosterone is tapering off. And so they all go hand in hand. Once you start feeling better, you want to work out, you want to eat better, you want to, you know, it's all like a cyclical thing that all sort of coalesces, and ultimately you're living a cleaner, more full life. And it's like I said, it's not just because of the TRT, but it's all sort of interconnected.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of guys that would benefit from it. It's like in the difference between with men, the decline in testosterone is really gradual. It's like so slow. It's like watching,
like the boiling frog scenario. You know?
Well said. Yeah.
You don't know it until you're already so deep you can't even get out of it.
Exactly. So you don't even you wouldn't even necessarily notice like the difference, like the benefits that are possibly on the other side of a TRT therapy.
But you know what? You do notice it if you've been on it and then get off of it. Then you have two sort of case studies as to how it makes you feel and how it doesn't. Because if you've never done it, you don't know. But if you have and then get off of it for a while, you start to see what it was that you were missing. You know, and I think that I've got a buddy, one of my business partners actually, who went off because one of the stereotypes is that if you get on it, you don't create as much sperm. He wants to have babies. Well, there are things that you can take to sort of counter that make your sperm production just as much as it was before.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd heard that once you get on it, it messes with your fertility.
Well, it can, but there's also things that can sort of counter that and increase your sperm count. So, again, this is all stuff that I don't want to get into too much of the medical stuff because I'm no expert, I'm no doctor, but I do know that there's, the research is there, it's medically backed, and the medicines are there to help sort of optimize as we get older.
Yeah. What are some of the things you noticed once you got on it?
Just I was stronger. I was able to keep muscle on. I also do this what they call the Wolverine stack. It's like 4 different things, and it's specifically made for joints. So my joints are not. I would go run, and my Achilles tendons would kill me. I couldn't run for another 2 weeks. All this kind of stuff has helped me sort of, recover and sort of optimize workouts better than I could before. And I feel stronger. I feel like I'm just feeling like I have more desire in all aspects of life than I did before.
Dope.
Yeah.
Libido?
Yep.
I mean, it's a
real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah, it's an important.
You're 43. Try being 53.
No, I mean it's super important. What is it? Because I know nothing about this.
About what?
About TRT,
really?
And the dosing
regimen. You know what? You're a goddamn genius.
It's not. No, I'm not, and it's not. It's very far outside my wheelhouse.
So, what are some of the stigmas that you have that are attached to it?
I mean, I personally don't. I think my primary concern was the fertility stuff. Like, I don't have kids, and I think at some point I may want one or two. And then you often hear stuff about I'm in this sort of wellness fitness space where, you see a lot of people that use it to get to push their testosterone to super physiologic levels to get jacked.
Yeah, that's also a misconception. I mean, you can do that, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about getting them to the levels that you're at when you're mid-20s.
Interesting. So you can actually take it, you can dose it in a way that's physiologic.
Yeah,
and healthy.
It's all natural and it's all healthy. There's very few side effects, and all you're doing is basically just replenishing what you've been losing for the last 10 years. And you have that same sort of oomph that you didn't have, that you used to have, that you no longer do.
Wow.
So, that's one of the stigmas. The guys, in the past, it was seen as almost like a steroid for guys to get super yoked. But that's not what we're selling. I mean, you can do that. We have a whole team of doctors that would probably, try to talk you out of that, because we want to do this as healthy as possible, and we have an amazing group of doctors that watch this stuff very closely. So, yes, that's a big misconception.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have friends who, from one day to the next, how did that person put on 20 pounds of muscle seemingly overnight?
Yeah.
And then, months later, they reveal that they're on, some concoction.
It might have been some steroid too.
Yeah, like some anabolic, like Anavar Tren.
But it does help you keep and put on muscle, which is something that's harder and harder to do as you get older.
Yeah. Do you have a weight training regimen? Do you have a resistance training routine?
Yeah, but I'm one of those guys that needs somebody there pushing me, or I just go do a couple bicep curls and call it a day. I like to have a trainer when I work out, or I like to take classes, whether it's if I'm on location somewhere, I'll go to some gym and I'll find out what the classes are, just because I have to. When I go in there, I have to do it. I can't just skip out on it. So, I don't have the same discipline that I used to. When I go in to work out, I need somebody to kind of monitor the situation.
Have you ever had to make a really dramatic body composition shift for a role?
Not really. I mean, I will, but it's never anything that's been. I'm not. Remember when Matt Damon did the movie where he put on like 30 pounds?
Yeah.
Or. Yeah, no, I've never had to do that. Although I mad respect for him for doing it.
Mad respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the other kinds of? I know TRT, but then you mentioned peptides.
Yeah.
Talk to me about those.
So I can't talk about it yet because we're about to combine forces with a company that has all the latest and greatest stuff. Right now we offer, Somorelin and low-dose naltrexone and rapamycin as longevity stacks, TRT obviously, hair growth and ED medications, the basics, but with this new merger, we'll be able to open it up to all the different stuff out there. So Somorelin is one of those. There's all kinds of research behind the stem cell stuff. Have you done any research on that?
A little bit. I've taken ipamorelin in the past.
Okay.
Which I don't think is as good.
What is ipamorelin?
I think it's related to Sermorelin. I'm definitely not a peptides expert, but I took it. I took a few peptides, and I think Sermorelin. I don't know. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West. I've heard that Sermorelin's the better one of the two. I mean, don't quote me on this, but what they are essentially, they're growth hormone secretagogues. So they stimulate your body's own pituitary release of growth hormone.
Right. NAD is another one that we offer that's really good. Again, I'm not the expert, but I've learned enough to know that and I've tried a lot of these things. What was the question again?
Just peptides, yeah. What do you know about them? What are you? Cause you said that you've taken some for the Wolverine. Like when you said the Wolverine stack, it made me think of a lot of people are talking about BPC 157.
Yep.
Which is sometimes referred to as like the Wolverine peptide.
Yeah. There's Fabian can rattle them all. It's like the alphabet. There's like 4 different peptides that are compounded.
Yeah.
And the shit works. I mean, I've had shoulder issues, Achilles, and I'll literally, and I've been taking it now and I have had none of that. It really sort of goes to the the point of the injury or the inflammation, and it over about a week you can definitely feel the difference. And as you get older, at least for me, if I know that it works and I know that it's not going to cause any long-term damage, or at least the research behind it says it won't, I'll try it. And I've had enough people tell me about the Wolverine stack, that the BP 157, that and a lot of these athletes, that's how a lot of these guys are recovering so quickly. Guys you think are out for the season are able to somehow come back. A lot of it has to do with this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it works.
Well, I love that you at Gatlan you have physicians on staff, because I know that there's not a ton of human clinical data, but there's a bounty of anecdotes online of people using these peptides and seeing real benefits. I personally took them. I took ipamorelin and Sermorelin. I didn't take ipamorelin. I think I took separately, but BPC 157 I definitely took. I had spine surgery 9 months ago, or more than that.
So you have tried it.
I've tried it. Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, I healed. I had back surgery in February of this year. So 10 months ago at this point. And I recovered really fast.
Yeah.
Now I was taking a lot of, I was taking collagen, I was like taking vitamin C, I was taking, all kinds of things. But I was definitely in the 2 months post surgery, I was injecting, PBC 157.
And where did you inject it at the spot, or did you into your stomach?
No, you just pinch a little bit of fat. I think stomach. I find that part to be fun, actually.
Yeah,
not everybody's.
I used to. My wife can't do it, but I'm. It's nothing. It's like a little insulin needle. It's it's nothing.
I think it's actually kind of fun. And then the ED drug stuff.
Yeah.
That's I'm very interested in like the science underlying ED drug, erectile dysfunction drugs. I think that they might actually be like really good for you.
In much smaller doses, yes.
Yeah.
Blood flow, circulation. There's a lot of research that does back that up.
For men and women. Like there are people online, check with your doctor, or the team at Gatlan, but like reduced risk of like Alzheimer's disease for people who regularly take, I think it's like Viagra or one of them. Yeah. I've taken low dose Cialis pre-workout.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that. We actually offer that.
Really?
Yeah. And a lot of people swear. I haven't done it, but a lot of people swear by it. That it's not just to get a hard on. There's actually a lot of health benefits beyond that. So, if your wife asks what that bottle of Cialis is doing in the baby, it's just to keep my blood flow.
Exactly.
I have no problems down there, honey.
Yeah, you don't need. But the pump the pump that you get is insane. It's like people are confused by it. They think that you take it, you're automatically going to be pitching a tent at the gym. Yeah. But you still need like the sexual stimulus for that to happen. It's not just like indiscriminately, Well,
that was another one that we were like, oh God, okay, we're also selling ED. Am I going to be the guy selling ED medication now? I was like, well, you know what? There's got to be a funny spin on that. I mean, every time you get a boner, you can just think of me.
There you go.
Whether you want to or not.
I'm sure many people do, Josh. Many people do. Is there one habit that you've added in your 50s that you wish you had adopted earlier in life, like in your 20s?
Yeah, I wish I would have started yoga a lot earlier. Probably I wish I would have eaten a little bit better. I've gone pretty hard my whole life. I've really pushed it. I mean, that's, I think, part of the, like, I just went 100 miles an hour from the time I was 15 years old. And, whether it's working out or staying up too late, barely made it out of New York City alive when I was working there. I wish I'd had kids younger, for sure. As ready as I am now for it, I think that, and it's not like I'm, in any, but there's something to be said about young parents being able to watch their kids grow up, then watch their grandkids grow up. I'm probably not going to, especially for my young ones. But, other than that, I don't have a lot of regrets. I would have done some things differently, for sure. I wish I wouldn't have been so insecure and felt like I belonged in this business, because I didn't feel that for the longest time. I felt like I was sort of an outsider with, just like a fraud almost.
Why do you feel, why?
I don't know. I just did. I felt like I was this kid from North Dakota who, like, didn't belong in this town. And I think that was one thing that I do now. It took me a long time to sort of trust that I do belong here. But, yeah, it kept me out of so many situations, going to parties, going to do certain things, because I just didn't feel like I was part of this community.
Well, one thing I learned recently is that every successful person, unless they have like dark triad personality traits, feels imposter syndrome. Yeah. Like every successful person.
Really?
And if you don't, you're probably like a narcissist or have some kind of like pathological personality trait.
Is that true? I never heard that.
Yeah.
Because I did. I had imposter syndrome until, I don't think it was until I directed my first movie. I was like, that was the time I was like, okay, you know what? You do belong here, because you now have the ability to, like, make something, and you don't have to depend on, you're not just like showing up as a pawn in this grand sort of project. You did it, and I think that was what kind of put me over, as far as feeling like I, earned my spot at the table, maybe.
You're probably not a narcissist. I mean, that's from everything that I understand about that, like I get that sometimes. Do you know Arthur Brooks? Are you at all familiar with? He's an amazing, he's like a philosopher. He's an author. He just launched his own podcast. He's a happiness expert. He's a Harvard trained expert in happiness. I believe he's a psychologist, but he has a PhD. He's like, and so we're friends, and I've had him on the podcast a bunch. And he talks about the fact that like if you are successful and you have a sense of imposter syndrome, you're human, is what it comes down to. And that people who don't, you want to be careful with the people who don't.
Really?
Who arrive at a level of success and are like, I deserve this.
Right.
Yeah,
well, yeah. Somebody told me recently, for those who do have what you just mentioned, we're born on third base and act like they just hit a triple. And I think that, listen, I have respect for people that have that kind of confidence. It took me a long time to have, like I just said, to feel like I belonged here, but I wish that I'd had a little bit more of whatever that is, because I feel like I would have put myself in some situations that I never put myself in. But again, it all works out the way it works out, and I needed to, really sort of keep, and it also kept pushing me, and it still pushes me, because I still feel in some ways that I don't belong, and that's what keeps me going. Like I still want to keep sort of proving myself.
I think it's healthy, man.
Yeah.
I feel that way. What is there anything? What surprises you most about aging, in a bad way and in a good way?
About aging?
Yeah.
How quickly it happens. I mean, I was 43 yesterday, it feels like. I was your age yesterday. Now I'm 53. As you get older, it makes sense, because, when you're 2 years old, you only have so much context. But when you're 3, you got a little more, and then it just starts happening quicker and quicker. And I feel like once you start, I think anybody who's got some years behind him will agree that you just can't believe how quickly it goes by. And so for me, it's about just stopping, making sure that I'm appreciating where I'm at, what I'm doing right now. So, because I have the tendency to just get so caught up in work and what's happening next, and what am I going to, and not just like appreciating the moment. And I think that with age, I've learned to do that, but I've also really learned that how quickly it goes by. So you have to do that. Otherwise, it's just gone.
What's the best part about aging?
I think that for me, it's caring less about things that I used to care way too much about, and caring about more about the things that are actually important. And I think that only comes with age. I just feel like I've spent a lot of time worrying about shit that I didn't need to worry about, and it only hit me in the last couple of years how little you need to care about certain things, and how much time we waste worrying about stuff that just doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's this paradoxical, they always, these happiness reports, sometimes come out, and you'll sometimes see these paradoxical findings like, happiness increases as you get older, and sex, one's sex life increases as you get older, or improves as you get older.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's not necessarily intuitive for somebody, like younger, looking at those stats.
Yeah. Again, it's just, it's experience, it's context, it's wisdom, I guess. And I think that it naturally sort of happens, whereas you get older, you don't worry about stuff that doesn't matter. You don't have time. Like, I just don't give a shit about things that I used to. Even in my work, by the way, as an actor or anything in this business, I used to put so much pressure on myself to do a good job and to really to prove myself. Like, it was like, and now that I've been doing it, it's not that I don't care. I don't work as hard. I just don't worry about whether or not somebody likes it or not. And I think that helps your work as you get older. That's why I think you see work in anybody's work, even as athletes, oftentimes they lose a step or two as they get older, but the game slows down. It's like they've seen this before. They know what happens next. And I think that some of that comes with, just doing it over and over and over. You don't, you put the focus and the emphasis on things that that actually matter, rather than worrying about all the shit around it.
How do you balance the stress that comes with being in the public eye and the impact that stress can have on your health?
That's a good example too, because I don't care. I really don't. Even with this company, they said not to do it. I said, watch me. Because I know that we're actually going to be doing a lot of good for people. They're more concerned about my image and all these other things. I don't care. I really don't. People are going to think what they're going to think about me anyway. And I'm doing it for the right reasons, and if somebody's going to fault me for that, so be it, and I just, I think that's one thing that's really kind of liberating, something that takes a lot of stress off. So as far as, public eye, I think that I used to really be concerned about what, there were times when I would get chased around by paparazzi, and I would get so mad. I would get so overly consumed by it. I would try to lose them. And I couldn't lose them. And it was like this thing that just consumed me. And I was like, now I don't care. They can follow me all they want. They don't as much as they used to. But it just, there's no sense in wasting my energy worrying about that.
That makes sense. Yeah. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
I think that it would be to trust yourself and that you belong. And don't worry about what people think about you. Just as long as you're living a true, authentic sort of life, then you're good. Whereas before, I felt like I had to sort of fit in and make myself this thing that I really wasn't.
Yeah.
How about you? What would you tell your young self?
Oh, man. That's a good question. Man, I relate so much to what you're saying. I mean, I think it's like I'm very aligned in the sense that I probably expended a lot of energy earlier on trying to place myself within, where do I fit within the media world, or a lot of anxiety about career, a lot of anxiety about being taken seriously despite not having gone through the traditional channels of, medicine or academia. Yeah. It's always been really important to me never to misrepresent myself, but to actually very accurately represent my intentions in this space, as transparently, as honestly as I could, as somebody who had a loved one with a chronic illness. And I think it took me a couple of years, but what I discovered was just living your truth.
Yeah.
Just live your truth.
Yeah. It's hard to trust that, right?
Yeah.
Because we grow up. That's what's so beautiful about. I have this little 2-year-old son, almost 2, and that's the most beautiful thing about these kids is they don't have these walls that have gone up. There's no pretense. They just live. They sit there with their belly out and they just walk right up to you. He'll fart and laugh. They say whatever it is. And then as we get older, these things come up, and we have to sort of, and it's inevitable. Every person goes through this because life happens, and you just have to. It's like a protective mechanism. But then you get a little bit older, and you're probably starting to get there now. You're a wise man at 43. You know, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. You know, as long as you're living your truth, and you are, nobody can say shit because you're not doing. There's nothing, you know, untruthful about what you're doing.
Yeah.
At least I can't tell.
No,
that there is.
No, I think no, it's so true. Like, I think it's especially today more so than ever before. It's very easy to spot the fakers.
Yeah.
Which I think is a positive thing.
And it's also hard, I would imagine, to shut out all the trolls that are out there.
Yes.
Best not to even listen. Don't even read that stuff. And I don't know if there are for you, but I know there are for me. I don't know. People are like, did you hear what they said about you? I was like, no, I didn't. What'd they say?
Do you spend any time online? Like, are you on?
Not really. I mean, I'll check out my Instagram once in a while, but I don't spend that much time on it. I don't. Probably because I don't want to know. You know, I think the less I know, the better. Ignorance is bliss sometimes, and I think that I'm just moving along, living my life. You know, searching for that happiness, which I think I found. Amen.
One thing that I think I've gotten better at over time is learning how to. And I'm curious if your perspective on this, but it's like especially when you're in sort of a public facing role, like there's a lot of people that want your energy in different ways, you know, and so you've got to learn to and not necessarily even actually when you're in the public eye, you know. I'm sure like everybody in their communities, tend to be a lot of asks of one's attention, of one's energy, especially now with like smartphones and social media. Like, you know, everybody's vying for your eyeballs and your attention these days. So learning how to guard your energy, how to protect your energy, is a crucially important skill.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And you know, just to go back to what I was saying earlier, I just don't care as much anymore. So I'd rather. Not that I don't care about people's feelings, or I definitely don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or I don't want to be disrespectful, or, you know. But at the same time, I'm very particular about who I want to spend my time and my energy with, you know. And so I think this is part of the reason why I love my cabin so much out in the woods, because I just go out there and I invite who I want. It's just our own little world. You know, obviously, when you're here in Los Angeles, you're just around so many more people, and there's so many more asks and so many more opportunities, and it's part of what you have to do to you know, achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. But you're right. I don't want to spend time with people that don't have a good energy, that I don't want to spend time with people that are energy suck.
Yeah,
that's the last thing I want to do. So. You know, you got to, and as you get, at least for me, I spend time with the people that I love. I have a very close group of friends that I've had some of them since kindergarten, and I value those people that I meet along the way that are true, you know, authentic personalities that have a good energy. I really do appreciate that when I see it, and most people do. I'd say there's a lot more people that do than don't. You know, it's just once in a while you see that person like, you're not bringing anything to the equation.
Right.
You know.
You're a net negative.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, energy vampires.
Yep.
Not fun. What's something that you're still working on, physically, mentally, emotionally?
Oh, God. There's a lot, Max. I'm trying to be, honestly, I'm really valuing time with my family. I feel like I haven't done enough, especially in the last couple of years, because it's been so busy, thankfully, because, you know, it's what I've worked for. But I worry that I haven't been around enough, especially for my 12-year-old, for my wife. You know, I come back every weekend, but That's not enough. But at the same time, I got to work. So I try not to be too hard on myself, but I could be a better, more present father, better, more present husband, working on that. They're everything to me, and I don't want to, ever make them feel like they're not fully appreciated or loved. And sometimes I get so caught up in work that they almost feel like they're secondary. And maybe they are sometimes. And that's something that I need to work on.
Yeah, I super appreciate that. You're in you have a very demanding job. An all-encompassing, all-consuming job, which is amazing. I mean, you've earned it. It's awesome. What's next for Gatlan?
Well, we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming this 2026. We've got a really smart CEO in Tyler Williamson. Fabian Calvo is awesome. He's an amazing dude. We're teaming with some people who are incredibly smart, incredibly knowledgeable in the field, and we're gonna. Our focus with Gatlan is to be the healthcare company, the performance precision healthcare company that some of these other companies are doing a good job of, but we're really going to make this like a personalized performance healthcare company that's going to, I think, in a lot of ways revolutionize what, at least shine a light on what's actually out there and what we can do to help you. And, with the doctors that we have in place and with some of the, products that are out there, I think that, my goal is to just improve the lives of men and women, by the way, everywhere, because there's as much for women out there as there is for men. So it's my main focus. I love my work too. I love my work as an actor, but this is something that I'm really passionate about because I feel like we can really improve the lives and optimize the lives of so many people out there.
Yeah. Where'd the name come from?
We went through a lot of different names in the beginning, but it's really hard to find something that's free and clear.
Yeah.
We were Tusk for a while. We were Ever for a while. We were modern, what is it? Immortal Male for a while. Yeah, that one I really didn't like. But we wanted something that's free and clear, something that we could grow into. Gatlan was a name that I came across in one of those brand bucket things. I was like, Gatlan, I like that. It's got it's masculine, but it's modern. It's a little bit rugged. It's like I just like the sound of it. And then Tyler, our CEO, calls me up because we talk constantly about it. He's like, I saw this name called Gatlan. I was like, what? I saw Gatlan. That's got to be it. So that was kind of how, there's really no rhyme or reason for it other than we just like the way it sounds and feels, and it feels like our company.
Yeah, it's very masculine. It sounds like some kind of gun or something.
So there was a Gatling gun.
Yeah, there you go.
Or the Gatlan Brothers, country and western band from back in the 70s and 80s. But, what do you think if we're about to start a female side of this?
Cool.
For women as well. Gatlana? What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to give it some thought.
I need you to think about that and get back to me, Max.
I will. It's way better than Immortal Male. Sounds like some low-cost suit, polyester suit. Right? Damn. No, I like it. What is there a different skill set that's required of you co-founding a startup like this as compared to your other gig?
Well, my job is the marketing side. So I have a branded content production company called Dakota, which we've been my partner Josh and I for the last 6 years now. We've been building this company up, and so we're sort of the in-house marketing arm for this thing. And that's really I'm constantly thinking about, okay, what is the look? What is the feel? What is our branding? What is our messaging? What are our pieces of content looking like? Are we going to be super earnest? Are we going to have a little tongue in cheek? Is it going to be? And I think we're finding our voice in that, and that to me is what I really love about this. We have the medical experts that can really get into the weeds about what is the latest and greatest out there. I'm learning. That's my job, is to keep learning about what is and how do these best benefit people. So my job is to be the guy who gets the name out there, who talks about how this can benefit your life. We have a team of guys who are the experts in the field, Dr. Robert Lufkin, Dr. David Lawrence, and then they've got a whole team, a whole stable of doctors underneath them that are constant. This is what they do for a living. They've forgotten more than I've ever learned. So.
It's amazing. As somebody who's reinvented themselves multiple times, actor, director, co-founder, what is the through line across all of your different chapters?
We talked about this a little bit earlier about what it is that you are going to do next as far as what product. I never thought about that either. I was always like, it'd be cool to have a tequila or, a clothing line or, but it was just never, there was nothing that ever really felt true to me until this opportunity came. So I think that, my years of working in this business, learning the business, through and through. I think that directing has really helped me sort of understand every single department in a production. Being a leader that treats everybody with absolute respect and gives them full creative liberty to bring their best to the game. And then building this production company, we do branded content for Bobcat and for 3M and for the Los Angeles Rams and Tampa Bay. We do a lot of that, like sort of commercial type stuff. So that's really sort of prepared me for this in a lot of ways, and seeing the world through a marketing lens and learning about how in detailed all that is. I mean, it's really involved, like the paid all the stuff that you need to do to properly get a brand out there. Didn't know anything about. But this is stuff that I'm learning. So I think that all of this stuff has really taught me how, not just how to make the sausage, but how to sell the sausage. And if I'm going to sell the sausage, it's better be something that I really love and believe in. And so, this has been kind of the perfect opportunity for me, because I always had a real affinity for health, wellness, and now longevity as I'm getting older. How do you maximize and optimize your life? And how do you, what are some of the best hacks to do that? And how do you do it in a holistic way, along with some of the greatest medical, breakthroughs that are out there? And so this is an opportunity for me to sort of continue my curiosity about that, and also, market it in a way that I feel people will feel it's real and true to me, because it is.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's important. People want the sausage.
Yeah, but they also don't want to be sold something that you don't actually believe in.
It's got to be a good sausage.
Well, it's got to be something that I've been given the opportunity to do some things like this. I don't drink whiskey. I can't in good faith go try to sell your whiskey when I don't even drink it. You don't want to see me on whiskey. I'll pick a fight with somebody at the bar.
No, I get it.
I get a little dark cloud over my head.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
I once, I don't know if I've ever shared this story on the podcast, but once when I was like really broke, I was like running out of money. I had yet to kind of see a clear path forward in terms of what I was doing with like health communication, but I still had like an agent. He was like a very like D-level agent at that point, but he brought to me a deal. There was like I probably shouldn't say the brand, but it's like a retainer that like, it's like braces, like that you can take on and off your teeth or whatever. Yeah. And they wanted to pay me like a lot of money at the time to like use their product and like, and endorse it. But I like my teeth. I didn't want to like wear these fake braces or whatever, And I don't want to change.
Oh, they were gonna use your teeth. They're already perfect.
They wanted to give me the product. Yeah, I had to use it. It's a very common brand, like, begins with an I. Yes, there you go. Yeah. And they were like, we want to give Max the product. We want him to use it, and we'll pay a lot of money. I mean, this was like many, many years ago, but I refused because, no shade against the product. I'm sure it's a great product. I just didn't want to change my teeth.
Right. And if you don't really, because people see through that anyway. If you don't really truly believe what you're telling people, they see right through that. People are not stupid.
Yeah, we're very discerning about the brands that we work with on the show.
Yeah,
we turn down way more brands than most people would probably realize. But that's, integrity is everything. Yeah. And once that goes, you have nothing.
And it's hard sometimes because the money's nice.
Yes.
So you really gotta trust that you're making the right moves and trust that, this is the vision. And if we figure out, it's a hard thing to do because money's a very seductive thing.
It is. I mean, I was broke at the time. I mean, I had it was a big check that I, potentially would have gotten. Very important stuff. Do you have one piece of advice for anybody listening who is, advice for somebody wanting to break into Hollywood? That's not the wheelhouse of the show, but I feel like it's the rare opportunity to ask somebody who's accomplished, incredible things.
I guess my initial thought was say don't do it, but that wouldn't be true because I've been very blessed to be, in the position that I am. And I don't have any regrets. I love it. I really do. I think that for anybody that really wants to do it, don't do it because you want to be famous, because that's a paper tiger. That is not something that is healthy. You want to do it because you want to be able to have a voice and be creative and expressive and move people, whether to laugh or cry, to do things like that's I get more joy out of the prep that goes into it or the actual making of it than I do at the premiere to show it off. I much prefer the actual making of the whatever content is that we're making, whether it's a movie or a TV show or even a Bobcat commercial. That to me is what's fun. And if you don't love the process, if you don't love the creative process of it, I wouldn't recommend doing it because the fame is it can be a bitch if you don't have a proper perspective on it.
Well said. I mean, I have, I guess I would refer to myself as niche famous in certain pockets.
Oh, you are. Come on now.
But no, I mean, I've very occasionally been, interrupted when traversing a parking lot late at night, going from the supermarket to my car, and it can be really scary.
Yeah,
that's happened once, but I can imagine. I mean, with the level that you've achieved.
Well, even when getting stopped or getting, having people want to take pictures, I've always been somebody, and it drives people around me nuts because I never say no. Because when I was a kid, I remember Terry Bradshaw and I remember a gymnast named Mitch Gaylord came to Minot State University Dome. And they came to give a speech or whatever it was, and they signed autographs afterwards. And I remember both of them being really gracious with me and how much that meant to me as a kid. He looked at me and he said, asked me how I was doing, whatever it was. And I just remember that. And I've also heard stories where people weren't that way with kids. And I just remember how important it was to me. And even if you're getting stopped a lot, to that one person, that's the one time.
Yeah.
Even though they don't have any idea about how many times you've been stopped before or will get stopped after, to them, that's their moment. So I try to be as respectful and if they're only showing me love, I'm only going to show them love back. If they're being, if they're trying to provoke in some way, I'll just sort of separate myself from that. But, it's usually just people showing love, and you can't get mad at somebody for that.
Amen. No, it's so true. Yeah, no, I'm always super, super grateful whenever it happens. It just, that one time, it scared the shit out of me.
It was maybe the knife. Did he have a knife?
The knife, yeah. It was maybe the knife.
Was it the cloak?
It was the cloak. It was very late at night, West Hollywood parking lot. It was scary. So fun. Josh Duhamel, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Max. You're a good dude.
You're a good dude. And I look forward to seeing what you I'm very excited for what you're currently accomplishing with Gatlan. I'm excited to see what you do in the future with it.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Maybe we can work together in some way.
Yeah, would love that.
I'd love to.
I've got one last question for you before we get to that. Where can people check out Gatlan? How can they support your work? What are your socials? Just drop all the places, all the ways that my listeners can help you out.
Well, go to Gatlan.com. And we will give you the best possible service we can. We'll better your life as best as we know how. Very proud of this company. So go to Gatlan.com. I'm on Instagram. I think we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and I believe Twitter. And then I'm just on the socials somewhere. Just look my name up.
Dope. Josh Duhamel, last question that gets asked everybody on the show. What does living a genius life mean to you?
A genius. I think a genius is somebody who stays curious. For me, I just try to stay as curious and interested as I can. I'm the last guy who knows. I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room, but I want to know the smartest guy in the room.
Amen. Me too. Well, thanks for coming out, man.
Take care.
You are a G. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you. Share this episode with friends and loved ones that may benefit from it. Check out Gatlan, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.